Well, hello, my loves, and happy Sunday to you. So, today I'm creating my journal page for my word for the year. And you can see here I'm going to be using lots of Deco Art fluid acrylics. I'm working in my handmade journal, and I've already put down my background, my scraps of paper. I found some old stickers and some different things like that, and I put them all down with some matte medium. And now I'm just going to start building up the background and all of those yummy layers. So I'm using here my Mediterranean stencil, and I'm using Deco Art fluid acrylics because I love the highly pigmented color. And I'm not too worried about crisp and clean stencils because it's all in the background. It's all for um, uh, look and feel and texture and color, nothing specific. So I'm okay with fluid acrylics because I don't need a really crisp line. And I just love the colors. And so I'm using this is pattern 6 stencil, and I'm just finding all of my favorites, all of my favorite colors, because this is my journey, my journal, my time to really reflect on the word that I've chosen and what it means for me in the new year. Now I'm using pattern 4 stencil, and I'm using cobalt teal and quinacridone magenta, quinacridone gold, some sap green, some yellow oxide, some cyan, primary cyan, all of my favorites, along with some gesso. I use gesso a lot for my white because it adds really great texture. I have mixed my quinacridone magenta and my primary cyan color, which is a blue, to get that yummy purple color. I just love being able to mix my own colors. I try to work in a triangle most times. It doesn't always work out that way, but when I'm laying down pattern for my backgrounds, I usually try to work in a triangle to create balance. But I really don't want to think too hard because that's when things go wrong, when I think too hard. So now I'm using my wonderful new square palette knife, and I am laying down some gesso for a couple of reasons: to add texture and to bring the background together, to neutralize it, to simplify it, and get it ready for the next layer. All of the supplies will be listed on the blog along with links to the products that I use. So I hope you can head on over there and check that out. Now I'm mixing some gesso and some medium gray fluid acrylic. And I'm doing this because I'm preparing the area for my focal point, for my words, so that I have some contrast between the background and what's to come, so that I can kind of weed out some of the confusion and really be able to focus on the focal point and the words. And I knew I wanted it to be gray just to add another element of grunge and kind of faded look. So now, of course, I'm grabbing just a tiny bit of some crackle paint. This is by Deco Art Media, which I talk about with fondness all the time. Now I grabbed a couple of my acrylic inks because I really wanted this kind of watercolor effect again, to kind of push things back and to neutralize. And so I grabbed, this is deep violet, and oh my goodness, is it so pretty. And it's so light and really watery. And you know, I could get that with the same effect with my fluid acrylic, but I wanted to try this deep purple. So pretty. So now I'm using the same acrylic ink. One was Liquitex and this is Daler and Rowney, and this is Sepia. And I again wanted it really light. I wanted that grunge feel to be super light, watery, almost a watercolor effect. Now I'm going to start building my focal point, kind of my focal point. I push it back a little bit with the words, but it's still there. And I'm not being too particular about this because I'm going to grunge it up. I'm going to take some of that paint off. So I'm just working really fast. On the flower, I do magenta and quinacridone gold. I mix the two and then I alternate back and forth. And I've used my Garden 2 stencil and my Flower Gang 5 stencil for the flower. So now I am further defining that flower, and I'm bringing it away from that background just a little bit so that it stands out a little bit more. And I'm doing that with what I call shadowing. And you can shadow with or shade with a dark color or a light color. And I'm choosing gesso just to really make it pop and stand out. And of course this will change a little bit as we progress, but for now I needed that separation from the background to be able to really see it and see what it needed as far as color and definition. And I'm just going back through with my fluid acrylics and kind of defining that flower, adding highlights and lowlights and shadow and shading, and even embellishing on my stencil, because I always say use your stencil as your guide. And you can make your stenciled items look hand painted. No one will know that they're stenciled. I'm adding little flower petals, little leaves, and different things like that, connecting all of the pieces to make it really look hand painted. So I didn't let it dry. I grabbed my alcohol and I sprayed my alcohol on there and then put my paper towel down and pressed on it and lifted up the paint so it looked like a fresco, like it was peeled paint and like it had been there for a long time, and I love the effect. Love it. Now I'm just taking some gesso and a watered down gesso and a wider brush and doing the same technique, spraying some alcohol on there and then pressing down and pulling that back up to get that same shadowy, faded fresco look. Now I'm going to put my word down with, this is Old Type Text Stencil. And I switched to a heavier body paint because I now want my stenciling to be crisp. And I happened to find these old stickers, I mean old, 10 years, maybe more, in my stash as I was searching for ideas for this page, and they were perfect. It was like this word was meant to be. And even though they are stickers, I am putting them down with matte medium to make sure that they're secure and sealed. And so now I'm just adding my time, my journal time, my intentions, all of the things that I want to get out on this page for discover, my word discover, and all of the things that I would like to do or see within myself with this word that will help guide me through the year. I'm going to add some shading to that, and then we're almost done, my friends. So again, all of the supplies will be listed on the blog, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, subscribe and like and share, and I hope that you choose your word for the year. Stick around for my thoughts that I share about this word and encouraging you at the end of the video. So I'm just shading and I'm adding marks and different things like that. The pen that I used for my writing was my Posca pen that I just got that I'm loving. And I will shade the edges and add a few more marks with my charcoal pencil. And that is it, my friends. Stick around for some thoughts at the end, and I will see you next week. Lovies, look at this is home, right? Oh, I just love it. So I'm working in my handmade journal, and I went over everything throughout the video, and I'm using up some old stickers and a bunch of different things, just playing. And that is really the lesson of today, and my word for the year obviously is discover. And it is to discover how to play, discover how to rest, discover new places, new techniques for creating. Discover can go in so many ways, in so many directions, and I'm so excited. And I hope that if you don't make it a practice to have a word for the year or that kind of thing, that you do, even if you don't do it this way, but you just jot it down on a sticky note. Anything like that is so important. And I've talked about a book that I've read years ago, 20 years ago, I think, maybe even more, called Write It Down, Make It Happen. And it's one of the books that changed my life. And every year I write down just a rough sketch. It's not pretty. All the things I want to get done for the year, and some I get done and some I don't, but I get more done than I don't get done, and that only happens when I write it down, because there's something that happens between our brain and our hand. And I'm not talking about typing it out or texting it out or typing it on your phone, but I'm talking about a physical pen in your hand on a piece of paper, and someplace that you can post it and see it every day. It inspires us, it makes a connection to our soul, and it keeps us moving forward to the things that we want to accomplish. And I just wish for your coming new year, 2019, I can't believe it, that you discover something new for yourself, that you write down your word, whatever it is. What's really great about this is it can be so many things for so many people. And I have different words that I use for my business: create, inspire, love. Those have always been my words that I use within business making decisions and all of those kinds of things. And then with life, when I'm faced with decisions about something, like should I do this or should I do that in my personal life, I'm going to go back to this word and use discover as, well, maybe I could discover something new, or maybe I could discover something about myself, or, if I take the risk, or I take this chance, or I learn this new thing, or I take this class, or I write a letter to someone, I might discover a new friendship, or whatever it is. I use those words within all of my decision-making skills in my personal life and my business life, and it really does make a difference. And my hope for you always is that you discover your beautiful self, your journey. You discover how amazing you are, how worthy you are, how we don't say that word enough, how worthy we are to experience the good things, to experience our dreams, to experience love and relationship and hope. And we're worthy of all of those things. And sometimes it's easier to believe that we're not. But you are. We are. I am. And so that's my word for the year, my friends. And I'd love to see your words for the year. You can tag me on Facebook or Instagram or whatever. I'd love to see it, see what you're discovering. And I hope that your new year is wonderful and you celebrate and have a wonderful time with friends and family, and it's filled with love and laughter. And here's to a wonderful 2019. And always, always remember that you are loved.